YouTube, here we go, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right. Instagram, let that go live. 1 second for Instagram. There we go. Substack, already live. Excellent. There we go. All right, Substack, excellent. Substackers are joining us. Good. All right. Hey, Catherine. Okay, that's good. That's good. I think that's working. All right, we got Catherine. We got a couple more people. Got you guys. TikTok already ready. Go live. There we go. Not too bad. And I had to make a little coffee because I was getting a headache, and I realized it was a coffee headache, and I didn't want to have coffee this late because my heartburn did not come back last night, but I didn't want to feed it. But I don't really have a choice if I'm getting a headache at 6 o'clock. So, because sometimes I do have a third cup of coffee, but I was cutting back. Maybe I'll still have it, but I'll have it earlier in the day so it doesn't hit me. Because I mean, this isn't too late, but 6 o'clock is borderline. You know, I want to be up all night. Anyway, there we go. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hello, TikTok. Hello, YouTube. Hello, everybody. Substack, Discord. Heartburn for the news. Yeah, well, true. Although, well, today's an interesting bag. Actually, there's a really good, I'm going to read you from a story in the Financial Times in a little bit about Ukraine's hits against Russia's energy sector. My God. Oh, my God. Yeah, not showing in your feed, Brian. TikTok is weird. They just do stuff like that. It's hard to know why. But that happens to like everybody. It just, you know, or people will go to my profile and they'll say it's not showing it's live and they have to like leave and come back and, you know. Anyway, but no, Ukraine's been just decimating Russia's oil industry. Big article in the Financial Times, maybe from yesterday. I just read it before the show. I grabbed a couple paragraphs to read you. It's really good. So speaking of our Russian friend, our newly American friends, Misha, good to see you. He's going to take a swim in his wife's cement pond. Have to ask her what that one means. If you know that one, if you know that reference, then I'm very impressed with your Americanness. Thank you, Annie. Ask your wife about the cement pond once you mentioned you wanted to go swimming in your pool, and see if she knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, welcome everybody. All right, so yeah, they did not, Dave. Dave says maybe they did. Dave says he read a report that they're putting up tarps around the fencing of the reflecting pool, so it's harder to see the pool. I wouldn't be surprised. The reflecting pool. Oh my God. No, anyway, let me just start. Welcome everybody. There's a good amount of news tonight. We've got Iran news. We've got legal news. Trump had to pay up, which is great. We've got reflecting pool news, defense news, all sorts of stuff. Bad ICE news. Some of the ICE news moved good a little bit, but very bad ICE news, of course. And I'm having a little bit of coffee because I was getting a coffee headache. So I will probably be flying for the show. I don't like having coffee this late, but if I'm getting a coffee headache, I don't have a choice. So I need to have my coffee a little bit earlier. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Anyway, I'm John Arvosis. Welcome. We talk about the news. I go through and sort of cull the news throughout the day. And then as a person of a journalism and law and politics background in Washington, D.C., I basically pick the stories I think are important for you to know about. We talk about them, what's behind the news, what's actually going on. And we chill for about an hour and 15 and just talk about what's going on. So that's what we're going to do. And of course, we'll start with me kind of hitting my list of topics on my iPad. And then when we're done, then we'll just sort of talk about whatever you want. Anyway, let's get rolling. So keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living, so your gifts are very welcome and very appreciated. So please keep them coming. E. Jean Carroll. So the first story is a wonderful story, wonderfully good story. The E. Jean Carroll finally got her $5 million today in hand. E. Jean Carroll. Oh, hey, Marion. We need to catch up. I was just thinking, I was thinking of you the other day. Hadn't talked to you. E. Jean Carroll is the woman who Donald Trump, a jury found that Donald Trump had I Googled the language to get this precise. A jury found that Donald Trump had sexually abused E. Jean Carroll. in the changing room of a Bergdorf Goodman, which is a department store, or was a department store, I don't know if it still is, back in the 1990s. She accused him of rape and sexual assault. The jury found, and I think because the statute, I think you guys even told me this, I think because the statute of limitations had passed, she couldn't press charges against him, but she could still sue him civilly, meaning the way you and I might sue each other rather than going to, it still is in New York. Okay, thanks, Carroll. You know, the way we might sue each other rather than going to a policeman or something, right? And the jury found him liable. They said, yes, you did sexually abuse her. And the jury found that he had defamed her because he denied the charges. And in denying the charges, he said things about her that were false and harmful. So overall, juries have found Donald Trump liable for $88 billion, okay? But this is the first did I say billion? I wish. $88 million. Sorry. We're talking defense stuff tonight too, and that's got me thinking of billions. $88 million. This is the first $5 million that she got today. She got $5.6 million because it includes interest. There you go. Scott just asked. It includes the interest. So she got $5.6 million for the $5 million because the $5 million was sitting there. The other money is still being tied up in court in the appeals. So hopefully that comes to the other 80 million or 83 million or so. But she got her money. Trump appealed and lost at the Supreme Court. She got her money. And her lawyer printed the receipt from the court. The court sent the money because basically when Trump originally lost the case, I don't even know, a year or two ago, whenever it was, the court required him to put the money in escrow, to basically give the court the $5 million, and it would therefore sit, and it would sit in a bank account or something until the court decided. So that way Trump couldn't say no. So she got her money. Yeah. And I had sort of forgotten. I know Roberta Kaplan. I mean, she's not a good friend. She's a colleague, but Roberta Kaplan, who is the lawyer for E. Jean Carroll. I had lunch with Roberta when I was living in New York like 10 years ago. She's great. She's great. Just very smart. I mean, no surprise. Roberta is a very smart woman. Very nice woman too. I mean, I really enjoyed having lunch with her, but anyway, kind of funny. I always forget that she's representing these clients. I saw her name and I was like, oh my God, it's Roberta or Robbie. I think she goes by Robbie Kaplan. I believe she goes by Roberta, obviously, officially. Anyway, so that was very good. So that was good. Hey, Curve. So that was very good. Another story, Iran. So Iran, cluster F, total cluster F with Iran. Unfortunately, we're at war with Iran again. The fighting is, at the level it was before, very bad. Let me just read you this from the New York Times. President Trump on Tuesday walked back a plan he had announced a day earlier to charge a fee on each ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz in return for providing security. Yesterday, Trump claimed, I'm going to charge, this was Trump yesterday. I'm going to charge a 20. I do have my brush now, don't I? I keep forgetting I have my brush. There we go. I still have to get my shampoo, my hairspray, so I can do this a little better for you guys. Somebody needs to help me. I am not a good gay. I don't really know how to do drag here, even if it's Trump drag. That's not too, okay. That's something. We'll try that. I'm not good at this. Trump says yesterday, I'm going to charge a 20% toll on every ship going through the Strait of Hormuz. I don't do good impressions. Every ship, 20% to pay protection money for us to open up the strait. Well, today, Trump changed his mind, said, no, I'm not going to charge anybody because the Arab governments in the region said they're going to give us good trade deals. Sure. What happened was somebody told Trump he was full of crap. Oh, hey, Paula. Somebody told Trump that he was full of crap with regards to he was going to charge every ship 20%. So instead of the Iranians charging a toll, the Americans were charging a toll. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, literally. We were blowing Iran up because they were charging a toll, or again, lately, because they were charging a toll. So we decided to charge a toll instead. Okay, Donald. Anyway, the Americans are now today we bombed Iran again. New York Times said Tuesday's strikes, the American strikes, were returned to the kind of intensive bombing campaign that characterized the start of the war more than 4 months ago and came as both Washington and Tehran were seeking to assert control over the strait. So basically, we bombed them as heavy as we did 4 months ago. The talks are gone. The ceasefire is gone. With the preliminary ceasefire between the countries now in tatters, New York Times, and the U.S. military preparing to restart its naval blockade of Iranian ports, sea, and air traffic to the region have been severely curtailed. These disruptions threaten more consequences for the global economy. On Monday, the president announced his own heavy fee, 20% of the value of all cargo shipped through the strait. But within a day, thank you, Heather, but within a day, he had canceled the plan, saying king and emirs from the Persian Gulf had called him and persuaded him to drop the fee and let them invest in U.S. companies instead. Yeah, sure. Oil prices soared after the latest strikes by American and Iranian forces, one of the biggest daily jumps since the start of the war. The number of vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz plummeted. Only 10 ships were reported to have passed through on Monday, the smallest daily total in more than a month, and far fewer than the roughly 130 that normally transit the Strait of Hormuz. Cluster F, the war is back, told you. I mean, we were saying from the beginning the ceasefire wasn't a ceasefire. He was lying. And it just, well, technically we've been at war anyway, Rob. Yeah. He just screwed everything up. And I don't know what we're going to do, guys. He lost this war. He lost this freaking war. And now Iran's going to shut down the oil again. Prices are going up again. I mean, it's just like, it's everything. We lost this. We started a stupid war. Again, I don't like Iran. But by the way, you don't hear him talking about the nuclear material very much, do you? Right? We started the war to get Iran's nuclear material. We're not even talking about that anymore, right? This whole thing is about the Strait of Hormuz, taxes, tariffs, blah, 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 blah. Total cluster F. And are we great yet? Exactly, Dave. Very, very great. Ahmadinejad, so the former Iranian leader, with the little short, I guess they all have short haircuts. Ahmadinejad, there was an article, I think in the New York Times, about how the Israelis turned him as an asset. He was an Israeli asset, CIA asset, or Israeli spy asset. He came out today and denied it. Who the hell knows? It does seem that the Israelis had a plan. I'll give them credit. The Israelis had a plan to put him back in power. He was under house arrest, and they bombed the house that he was in to free him so that he could take over Iran and be more friendly. I don't know why this guy would be more friendly. Thank you, son, for the rainbow slide. Thank you, Andres. That's a goat screen. Which goat would you like, Andres? That is you get a goat, a regular goat, a Halloween goat, which is the nice screaming, or the nice, really scary one. Yeah, goat by Andres, exactly. Any goat? Let's do Halloween. Halloween's always fun because it's louder than... It's particularly scary, which I think is appropriate for the topics we do a double squeeze. Particularly appropriate for the topics we discuss here. Right. Thank you, Andres. Appreciate that. So anyway, Ahmadinejad denied it. Interesting story, though. It claimed, among other things, this is where I say, like, Israel does bad things, but Israel is very good very often at what they do. And Israel reportedly wanted to have a secret meeting with Ahmadinejad, but they had to be careful because he's like former Iranian leader. They're Israel. This would look very weird, and it would get him killed, but it would look very weird. So the Israelis set up a fake climate conference in Hungary. They couldn't find a climate conference. They wanted to do Hungary, so they created their own fake conference. Now, I mean, I guess the conference ended up being real in the end, but it was a climate conference that was, thank you, user 277. That's a cute one. Thank you. It was a conference that the Israelis set up as a fake so that Ahmadinejad could go, and then they would secretly meet him at the conference. It was crazy. I mean, again, the Israeli intelligence, with Iran, they've also kind of screwed up. Hello. Right? Israel helped convince Trump to get into this war, but sometimes they do stuff that's pretty amazing. Anyway, what else we got? On the mall today. So somebody, thank you, Jackie. The group, and I don't know the name. If anybody does, happy to give them credit. Where is this? I've got to find this. I think I copied it here. I know I copied it here. The group that's been doing, here it is, a lot of the performative Trump statues on the mall in Washington, D.C., on the National Mall. They did one today that was a big participation trophy for Trump in the war. Now, if you're not American, I don't even know whether other Anglos know what this is. Let me explain. A participation trophy is a criticism and a mocking we had about children years ago, maybe 10 or 20 years ago. There was the feeling that parents, maybe it was 20 years ago or so, that the generation of parents about 20 years ago were being a little too coddling of their children. And basically that there you go, PC Noel just said, everyone's a winner. And that you had to make sure that every child felt like a winner and every child got a ribbon, right? That every child wins. No, there are no winners and no losers. And that they would get participation trophies for simply trying, right? I mean, and honestly, to some degree, it doesn't bother me. I hated being in sports and it really sucked when I was young. So there's an element of that I don't object to, but the concept was a little bit of this, even if you don't deserve it, you get a trophy. So the people, this group, and I keep forgetting who it is, created a trophy for Trump for participating in the war with Iran because he lost the war. Right? The whole idea of a participation trophy is you get it because you didn't win, but you have such hurt feelings that we give you a trophy anyway. Sort of like the FIFA Peace Prize. Actually, very much like the FIFA Peace Prize, right? Right. It means you didn't win. So they put one on the National Mall today and the Washington Post covered it, which I freaking think this is the funniest damn thing. Oh, Michael's got No, who is the group, Michael? I can't, I may be able to click. I think I can copy and paste that. Let me see. Hold on. I want to see what the group is because this might be the group that keeps doing these Epstein things too. Oh, the group behind the statues is back with another. Secret Handshake is an anonymous art protest group that creates public art along the National Mall for political commentary. A 10-foot Iran war participation trophy appeared July 13th south of the Martin Luther King Journal Memorial Bookstore, because it's not as funny. Golden Trophy has a number 1 on the cup and participant on the base. I want to see, does it say what else they did? See, the Secret Handshake cited Trump's inaugural FIFA Peace Prize and gifted Nobel Peace Prize medal as comparables. Does it say the previous ones they did? Oh, they did. They did. Did they do this one? They did. They did the statue of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump doing the Jack and Rose thing from Titanic, where the hands are out like this and the other one's standing behind them. So they're both like flying. That was the same group. Oh, that is. Thank you, Michael. That's great. That is freaking great. I was trying to remember some of the stuff they did. So that was pretty good. I didn't see the story till later in the day and the weather's horrible. It's like 92 and humid. I would have considered going, but it's so awful out that I was like, forget it. Tomorrow's 100 degrees. So it's even worse. Because I was thinking it would be fun to Uber over and take a look for you all. And I would, but not when it's like the worst day of the summer. Although I think we're going to have more worse days of the summer, unfortunately. Anyway. All right, there's a lot more news here. Let me pull this up. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. All right. What else we got here? Oh, Mike Johnson. So the Republican Speaker of the House. So Trump has become such a warmonger that remember they were saying, oh, because of all the wars Trump is having, the Pentagon's going to need another, did they say 50 billion or 75 billion or something? The number just ballooned to 350 billion. That's how much Trump needs now. Extra. Because he's been blowing everything up nonstop. First they were saying 350 billion today. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson gets asked about it, and he says, even better, he goes, well, basically the president's asking us to double the defense budget. Double it now. We're like, double it? And he explains that one of the reasons it needs to be doubled is because we are fighting the communist threat at home. Let's talk about that. The U.S. military does not fight any threat at home. That would be illegal. We ban them from fighting threats at home because they do that in, well, for example, communist countries use their military to fight their own citizens. Americans do not. It's against the law. So that's the first weird thing, right? The second thing is he's talking about the mayor of New York, Mamdani, and a couple of those other Democratic socialists. We need to add $350 billion to the defense budget because Mayor Mamdani is kind of a lefty? I mean, seriously? Whatever you think of the guy, I don't think we need to add $350 billion to the defense budget extra because the mayor of New York is really, really left-wing. I mean, of course, it's scare tactics, but it's not just scare tactics because it's literally $350 billion extra they're looking for, guys. These guys are spending money like drunken sailors. The deficit is going through the roof. They're not spending money on you and me. They're not spending money on fixing the economy. They are spending the money on, frankly, blowing things up. All Donald Trump wants to do is start more and more wars, left and right, left and right, left and right. Nonstop. It's got a complete contradiction of his campaign promise. He promised he was going to end all the wars. Now he wants to double the defense budget and have as many wars as possible. It's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Do I consider him left-wing? The socialist mayor of New York? In America, he's as left-wing as you get in politics. Yes. Yes. I mean, I'm fine with people liking the guy, but let's not debate whether he's left wing. He's the leftist wing you can get in American politics, in as far as credible American politics. Anyway, all right, a little more here. So ICE, immigration. ICE is, well, exactly, keep in mind, $350 billion. Donald Trump and the Republicans killed half of the Obamacare subsidies. Half of the subsidies for my health insurance are gone. My health insurance could go up $4,000 this year. $4,000 I'm going to have to pay more for health insurance because Donald Trump and the Republicans let the subsidies die, half the subsidies. And instead they want $350 billion extra for the Defense Department so Trump can blow up a bunch of wars that he promised us he wasn't going to do. That's the problem with this, is there's a real cost to Trump doing all these stupid wars he's doing. The cost is you and my health, your and my health insurance, for starters. More here. ICE has decided has ordered ICE, our immigration people who kill everybody. ICE has been ordered to stop. Oh, hello. Oh, what was that? Was that from Cricket? Who was that from? Wait a minute. That was Cricket. Oh, that was cool, Cricket. Thank you. I don't recall seeing the Rock Idol thing before. That's interesting. I don't recall seeing that. Thank you for that. The ICE has been ordered to stop most vehicle stops after they murdered, basically, it looks like 2 more people this week. Both shootings happened in cars. The one there are witnesses today that say they came up to the window and shot through the side window at the guy. The other one, I did a video on it today, was this guy in Maine who, 26 years old, married, 3-year-old daughter, and basically they came to his house. But both guys, they got by accident, so to speak. They didn't come to his house. They came to the house of another guy they wanted to arrest who they thought was here illegally. Well, this guy was here illegally, saw ICE, and tried to flee in his car. Because he was trying to flee in his car, they killed him. Now, thank you, Joanne. The ICE people even put out a statement saying that the reason he was shot was he was a risk to public safety. And very smart people jumped on that immediately and said, wait a minute. You didn't say you shot him because he was going to shoot you. You didn't say you shot him because he was going to run you over with his car, which is their usual excuse. You say you shot him because had you let him leave, later on, he was an unsafe guy and he might hurt somebody in the population, in the public at large. Right? Oh, thank you. What was that? Dolphin. I've never seen that before. That's almost kind of freaky. It almost looks like a hack. That's a very cool gift. I thought that was a hack for a second. I was like, what's happening to the screen? Welcome to hell. That was really nice. Thank you for that. Wow. I literally didn't think that was a gift. I was like, somebody just hacked my screen. That was crazy. Thank you. Yeah. So this is important, guys. We can debate, right, whether someone driving their car is a weapon, because ICE loves to claim that. They didn't claim that to start with. They killed the guy and said we had to kill him because had he fled the scene, he would have been a risk to public safety. Had we let him live, he might have gone somewhere else in town and hurt people. Under American law, that's murder. Under American law, that statement is a confession of murder. You are not allowed to kill someone because you think later today they might go somewhere else and hurt someone. Police are not allowed to murder you in that. That's literally like what was the movie, right? What's his face? The actor everybody likes. The future crimes, exactly, precognitive stuff, right? The future crimes kind of thing, right? That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. Later on, because they figured out. ICE figured out that they had basically just confessed. Minority Report. Thank you. What's his name though? The actor, everybody loves him. He's apparently a ridiculously nice guy. Keanu Reeves. They realized, Keanu is the one I'm talking about, actually. So I'm talking about maybe it's not Minority Report. It's the one with Keanu Reeves I'm talking about. Didn't Keanu Reeves' one also have like future crimey stuff? That was just Tom Cruise's. Oh, you're right. That was the Tom Cruise one. It wasn't Keanu's. Okay. It was Tom Cruise's. Never mind. We get off on our tangents here, don't we? The Matrix is what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking. Although The Matrix is what I was thinking of, but Minority Report was the actual movie I was thinking of, even though I thought the word Matrix. You get it. We're all on the same boat on this one. But yeah, so ICE realizes later that day that they just confessed to murder and then changed their story and say, he weaponized his vehicle and we had to stop him. Here's a thought. You're lying. If this guy got in the car and literally turned his car to one of the agents to run him down, and the agent had to shoot him because he was about to be run down, why did the agent give a statement right afterwards that said, I was worried he was going to go downtown and hurt people? No, you were worried that he got in the car, pointed the car at you, and literally tried to run you over, supposedly, right? My point is, if that's what happened, if this immigrant got in the car, pointed his car at you and tried to run you over, that would be what you would tell people. That's what would be in your report. That's what would be in your statement. You would say, the son of a bitch tried to run me down. You wouldn't say, I was very worried that he was going to go downtown and hurt public people later. That's what you say when you murder someone without cause, right? And then later you say, later they go, he weaponized his vehicle. Oh, you just kind of figured that out 5 hours later? Somebody at ICE headquarters went, he weaponized his vehicle. They're lying again. Well, at least they've decided to stop most vehicle stops, whatever the hell that means, after the 2 killings. Really just horrific stuff. And the real problem here, I'm not a law enforcement guy, but it seems pretty obvious. The problem is we've got a bunch of jokers working at that agency, a bunch of men and women who aren't qualified to be the dog catcher, not to knock the dog catcher, right? These guys have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to use a firearm. They have no idea. And when I say how, I mean, they seem to know how to fire it to kill people. They don't seem to know what the rules of engagement are in using firearms. They're not trained. So they're trigger happy, right? I mean, remember this? We saw the pictures of those idiots, the idiot holding the gun like this, like he's some gangbanger, and their little masks. I mean, I think the whole mask culture is just adding to the whole bullshit with these guys. It's adding to the whole, I'm a superhero. It's a video game superhero. These guys have no idea what they're doing. They're not qualified. Thank you for the frog there, CH. They're not qualified and they don't know what they're doing. And that's why they're killing people, because they're getting into tense situations. And think about it. If you're an idiot and you have no background in law enforcement, I mean, well, that would be most of us, right? And the adrenaline is up there. You're supposed to stop this guy. He's a criminal. He's trying to drive away. Well, if you're totally unqualified for the job, psychologically, mentally, physically, well, probably physically, but right in terms of your training, you think stop him at all costs before he gets away, and you shoot him. If you're trained for the job, you realize that would be murder, is what you realize. But these guys aren't trained. They're a bunch of jokers, and that's the problem we've got going on here. Pretty sad stuff. So Trump is giving a big speech on Thursday. I'm not convinced any of us should. I hope to God the TV stations don't give him coverage. Trump is he's not doing a big speech. Trump is bullshitting, but he's claiming it's a big speech. And by the way, the number of times Trump has done this, where he goes, I'm having a big speech, and the big speech is literally nothing. I can't even tell you the number of times. He started his whole presidential campaign this way. So Trump's doing a big speech on Thursday about free and fair elections, and he's going to announce really big news, which means he's going to lie about the entire speech, and it's going to be bullshit, whatever he tells us. They better not cover this, so help me God. The rumor about a day or two ago was that Trump was going to publicly claim that the two senators from Georgia, the Democrats, Ossoff and Warnock, are illegal. They're not really United States senators because they stole the election. So they're not really senators and they shouldn't vote anymore. My guess is somebody weighed in and told him, okay, even for you, that would be really stupid. So now they think he's going to change to more generally talking about the Georgia 2020. Remember, Georgia was the one where Trump called the local official and tried to get like 10,000 votes or 11,000 votes to steal and couldn't get them. That's Georgia. So they think he's going to release new intelligence. Here's the other one. He's going to release new intelligence proving that foreigners tried to influence the election in 2020. The problem is we already know foreigners tried to influence the election. I mean, literally, this is, but again, Donald Trump, everything's a lie, but it's also a mendacious lie, right? So that remember I asked, you guys were the ones who taught me the word mendacity and mendacious. The idea is you lie by telling the truth. So in this case, Trump's going to tell the truth that yes, there were foreign governments that tried to influence our election in 2020. Russia tried to help. We already know this. Russia tried to help Trump. Iran tried to hurt Trump, and China considered getting involved and then kind of went, and didn't get involved. None of the efforts, Russia and Iran, made any difference. They were ineffective. And that's, everyone says they were ineffective. We already know this. This is not news. Donald Trump is, again, going to drop the bombshell reportedly that foreigners tried to influence our election. Yeah, we know that. Literally, we know that. The intelligence community already concluded it and said it didn't make a difference. This is part of his campaign to cast doubt on our elections. I'm going to repeat it again. Actually, I'm going to pull it up again. Okay? The Conservative Heritage Foundation, which is now a MAGA organization, did an analysis of American elections. All right? And let me pull this up. I'm trying to think. I think this should pull it up. Here we go. This was the summary. This was not what they wrote. This was the summary of what the MAGA Heritage Foundation found when they looked at decades of American elections to look for voter fraud. Okay? in reviewing billions of votes cast, billions, which would be over about a 20-year period. In reviewing billions of votes cast, the Heritage Foundation identified just 10 cases involving in-person impersonation fraud at the polls. They looked at billions of votes, and they only found 10 times that somebody tried to pretend they were someone else. That's why Trump is doing this whole voter ID thing, and the legislation he's trying to pass is to stop people from pretending they're other people when they vote. It's only happened 10 times in the last 20 years or so. The source is the Heritage Foundation, which is the biggest MAGA think tank in the United States in Washington, D.C. It's the biggest Republican think tank. It was created by Ronald Reagan and company, okay? 10 out of billions, not millions, billions of votes with a B, 10. So in other words, it doesn't happen, okay? Secondly, this was also conclusion of the Heritage Foundation. Over the past 50 years, so since around 1975 or so, the database that Heritage put together includes only 41 cases involving non-citizens registering to vote, voting, or attempting to vote over those 50 years. Over a 50-year period, they only found 41 immigrants over 50 years. Fewer than one a year, okay? Fewer than one immigrant a year tried to either register to vote, or attempting to vote. So in other words, it wasn't 41 people over 50 years who voted illegally. It was 41 over 50 years who either tried to register, not clear if they succeeded, tried to vote, not clear if they succeeded. So the number that succeeded would have been far less. Again, fewer than one per year in all of our elections. He wants to pass legislation to fix the problem of fewer than one per year of immigrants voting illegally, or trying, not even voting illegally, attempting to vote illegally, fewer than one a year in 50 years. That would mean we're not passing the legislation to address that problem because the problem doesn't exist. So then, and having worked in Washington for 50 years, 40 years actually, having worked in the United States Senate for 5 years, you then have to ask yourself, if the Republicans are trying to pass legislation, voting legislation, that addresses a problem, that fixes a problem that doesn't need fixing, if they're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist, and they're very adamant about it, then what is it that their legislation really does? Why are they so adamant about passing this legislation if there really isn't a problem of illegal immigrants voting? What does the legislation actually do that helps them? The legislation scares people from voting overall, and it hopefully they feel will scare Democrats. And actually, good point. Actually, Quest just said as well, excellent point that I forgot to bring up, voter rolls. It also allows them, which Trump has been trying to do, to get the voter rolls. States are in charge. Thank you, Cricket. States are in charge of their voter rolls, the voter registration. And Trump wants to take all the voter registration from the states, all the voters lists, and go through them and knock out anybody who he thinks is illegal. So that you and I will then try to go vote on election day, assuming, of course, I'm still registered. I've always been registered, and you won't be able to vote because you're off the end. It's going to be too late for you because you're already right. You're already not registered. Yeah. No, this is bad. This is bad stuff, guys. Thank you, Garden Girl, for the piano. Appreciate that. All right. There's more news. We do have a lot of news today. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. Let me see here. Okay, the Lindsey Graham news kind of blew. Listen to this. This is kind of wild, the Lindsey Graham news. So Lindsey Graham, Republican senator, big Donald Trump enabler, dies this weekend. They think of an aortic dissection, or it was a dissection, it's called, aortic tear. And basically, the aorta, the huge blood vessel coming out of your heart, it tore. And they believe it tore. They believe it tore because of, John Ritter. That was the thing John Ritter had? I didn't realize that. They believe it tore because of heart disease, plaque in your heart and arteriosclerosis and all that, right? Well, Tommy Tuberville, a Republican senator, had more information and told CNN about it. I want to read you this because it's fascinating, all right? GOP Senator, Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, whatever, said one of his staffers was with Senator Lindsey Graham's scheduler Saturday evening when the late senator called the scheduler to complain of chest pains and asked her to call emergency services. Quote, this from the senator. Lindsey called basically said, listen, I'm having chest pains. I need to do something. Tuberville said to reporters. Tuberville said Graham's scheduler asked if Graham had called 911. 911 is the emergency service. That's the emergency phone number for ambulances or police in America. Asked if he had called 911. And Graham responded, no, that's the reason I called you. By the time she got there, so she hangs up and calls 911 for him. She gets to his house. The police already had to break the door down. He's dead. She asks, he says, my chest is hurting. You need to call emergency services for me or something. I need to go to the hospital. And she goes, did you call 911? And again, Tuberville says, the quote is, no, that's the reason I called you. At first, I was thinking that this was just a really bad example, or a really good example of the kind of hubris and pride and arrogance that I tell you about in the Congress where I worked, right? The idea that you're having chest pains, you need to go to the hospital immediately. So you call your scheduler to schedule the 911 ambulance people to show up to save your life. Hestia just said, and that was my epiphany as well that I put in my video that I did on this about an hour ago. I think he didn't want his voice on the recording. For some reason I will never be able to fathom, 911 calls in America are made public after they're made. This needs to be banned. Actually, I may do a video about this. The Lindsey Graham thing is a perfect example of why that practice needs to be banned. For some crazy reason, they literally make the calls public. So the recording is played publicly that you called the police for help. It's ridiculous. I think he's a Republican senator. He's up for re-election and he's expected to win easily. He was up for re-election in November. And he didn't want his voice, which is very recognizable voice like this, right? Even if he didn't give his name, I'm having chest pains. I live at this address. People would know it was him. I think he didn't want the recording of it's vanity, but it's not just vanity. I think he was worried about the politics of his voice being recorded and released and whether it might affect his campaign, because people would say, right? It would be a TV commercial by the bad guys. Oh, look at it. He's not healthy. Listen to him call 911. And imagine he thinks, and what if I pass out on the phone when I'm calling 911, right? I pass out and then I think that's what happened. I still think you're insane that you called your scheduler to call. Remember I told you guys, I thought what happened was that he was talking to a staffer. This was my guess. Because remember we were saying, why was he on the phone with a woman? And I told you he wasn't on the phone with a woman because he was dating her. We know that. And I said, I think he was on the phone with a staffer and started having pain and told the staffer, oh my God, I don't feel well. Can you call I'm going to go and lock the door. You call 911. That's what I thought. This is worse. According to this Republican senator, he called the staffer because he knew he needed to go to the hospital and he didn't want to call. Now, okay, Flying Medic does say, unfortunately, with what they said he had, it wouldn't have mattered if he had called or someone else once it gets to that point. Okay, now the only thing is I've heard some people say that they've survived. Actually, was it somebody in our comments? Or maybe it was online. I think it was in the comments on TikTok. people have survived this before, but is it basically if it's a minor rupture or something? I don't know. I mean, one guy sounded pretty truthful that he said I think he said I was not in good shape and I survived, and I keep being told that I'm very lucky. He goes, I'm always told somebody said you're lucky to be alive. He goes, oh, trust me, my doctors will always tell me that all the time. Fair enough, but you don't call your scheduler in order to have them call 911. No, Jill says her mother-in-law survived. I'm going to guess, I was just saying, Flying Medic says, depending if it's dissected or ruptured. That's a little over my head, but what I was assuming was it depends how bad it is, right? How bad is the condition? You can imagine your heart kind of exploding and you're gone, right? Or you start to have a leak or something that, whatever, right? Anyway, very scary stuff. But yeah, the John Ritter thing, yeah. Really crazy stuff. But I just thought that blew my mind. I was like, that's why I'm calling you. It's like, dude, seriously? I mean, man. Now, Flying Medic, question for you or any of the medical people out there. Is this the kind of thing they can diagnose? I mean, is this the kind of thing? Because I always wonder, like, people talk about getting that scan for the calcium thing. Like, my sister got it. I never got it. But I worry about stuff like that because, like, people have heart attacks. Like, should we all pay for that calcium scan or something? I mean, is this the kind of thing where, like, an exam would have shown that the valve, or not the valve, but that the aorta was weak or something? I mean, just curious. I don't know whether that's too general of a question, or not general, but I don't know also whether the scan is too like a CAT scan and no one's going to pay for a CAT scan for everybody. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. Like an abdominal CT. Exactly. You're not going to pay. No insurance is going to pay for a CT for you just to make sure you're okay. You know what I mean? Your mom survived a dissection. Oh, interesting. Chris says, your ophthalmologist can tell. Yeah. Okay. So a CT angiogram, but no one's going to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Insurance isn't going to do that just as a regular thing, Yeah. I just think about stuff like that. And even people having heart attacks and they say, 90% occlusion or whatever it is, 90% of your whatever was clogged. And I always think, like, couldn't they have just like done a scan and figured that out or something? I don't know. It just seems very scary. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. Anyway. But insurance companies wouldn't pay for it. That's not going to happen. All right, what else we got here? Oh, the reflecting pool. We're going a little. The Ukrainian stuff, I may wait till tomorrow because it's a long article. Maybe I will wait till tomorrow. The reflecting pool has been drained. I love that one of the guys who's photographing the Lincoln Memorial, right? One of the guys who's photographing it today is named Joe Flood, which I think is hilarious. And Joe is, I think, a photographer or maybe a citizen journalist. But Joe Flood went today and basically said he can't see a gash. He got his good camera zoomed in. Thank you, Brown Eyed. Thank you. Simply zoomed in. Can't find any gash. Trump today claimed there was a 300-yard gash, 900 feet. This was actually funny because CNN, of course, detailed it. And CNN was like, hang on here. Where is this? CNN was like, Trump yesterday on the reflecting pool, there's a 250-foot long gash. Trump this morning, there's a 300-foot long gash. Trump this afternoon, a 290, 300-foot slit. Trump at the same event this afternoon, when you have a 350, I think it's 350, not 250, a 350-foot slit. And now Trump is saying it's 300 yards, which is 300 meters. That would be 900. So it went from 300 feet to 900 feet, Trump is claiming now. Yeah. They drained all the water because they've got to fix it. And nobody can, I mean, at least from all the observers, nobody can find a gash. Nobody can find a slit. He's lying. I mean, again, none of this is a surprise. He's lying. On the Ukraine front, I don't know if I want to read this whole thing. It's too long, the Financial Times stuff. It's a very long story. Basically, Ukraine is blowing the crap out of Russia's energy sector. You know what? We got time. I'll read it. Why not? It's Financial Times. I want to read several paragraphs. It's a great story. I mean, they're absolutely destroying the Russians. Let's read a little. Ukrainian drone attacks on energy infrastructure in Russia have plunged Russia into a fuel crisis on a scale not seen since the final days of the Soviet Union. That would be the late 1980s. In some regions, waiting times have reached several days, like waiting times for gasoline at stations, petrol, have reached several days, while social media has filled with clips of scuffles breaking out in the queues. Several regional governments have introduced rationing measures, thank you for the gift, allocating different refueling days to cars with odd and even number plates. Russia's fuel crisis has brought the war home to more people than ever before. The shortages directly affect some 50 million Russians, or 35% of the population. One southern region is deploying Cossacks in traditional fur hats to keep order at filling stations, while a Siberian governor has ordered officials to provide hot meals to people lining up. Some people have even begun offering to sell their place in line via social media. The pressure began in May when Ukraine significantly stepped up its drone campaign against Russian oil infrastructure. It has now hit Russia's 10 biggest refineries, including the largest one at Omsk, 2,500 kilometers from the front line, and accounting for, oh, hello, Amy. Ooh, that's a very nice gift, Amy. Thank you so much for, that's an Ask Me Anything, ish. Feel free to ask an anything-ish if you like. But first, I want to finish reading the story. But if you have a question, feel free. But let me finish it. Mods, if Amy asks something, make sure you oh, hello. Bowie's got a cool one too. Thank you, Bowie. That was a very cool. Thank you guys for the gifts. I appreciate it. Let me Ukraine hit Russia's 10 biggest refineries, including Omsk, and accounting for about 7% of the country's refining capacity. Okay, thanks, Ash. Quote, there are simply many more drones at one target now than before, physically punching through the defenses like a medieval cavalry wedge, said a senior Russian energy executive. The defenses that used to work cannot sustain such pressure. This is the new normal. Basically, thank you again. Basically meaning the Ukrainians have so many more drones than they had before that the Russians just can't stop them. And they're getting through and they're blowing up their oil refineries. By June 20, the first region to feel the strain was Russia-annexed Crimea, which is now in an official state of an emergency, with region-wide blackouts and gasoline, available only via electronic ration coupons. By June 25th, almost 50 Russian regions had imposed some restrictions on fuel sales, while long queues have spilled out from petrol stations across the country. By July 8th, local authorities or sellers had imposed curbs in most regions, with 3 declaring a high alert regime, the step before a state of emergency. Russia has stopped publishing much of the relevant data, but most analysts using secondary data and media reports estimate that 20 to 40% of Russia's refining capacity has been knocked out, that the Ukrainians have destroyed or put out of commission 20 to 40% of Russia's oil refineries or oil refinery capacity. Amazing. Absolutely. That's why I had to read the story. It's an absolutely amazing story. Just wild. And they've put Russia back to where it was at the end of the Soviet Union. Now, again, doesn't mean Putin's going to blink, right? You never know, but damn. I mean, and because they're building more drones, the drones are getting through the Russian defenses and causing more damage. And God bless the Ukrainians. They're smart. They went for the oil. That's why I said, it's such a great story. I want to do a video on it, but the story's too long and it's too good. So I'm kind of trying to figure out, after the show, maybe do one, but I'm not sure how to do a video on that because it's too much information. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Crediting the Financial Times, of course, but it's a good story. Yeah. Anyway. All right. We got a couple more minutes. That's from the Financial Times, Cornell. So British paper, British financial paper, kind of like, I like to think of it as like the Wall Street Journal of Britain. For, that's at least what always been my impression, but the Brits would know better than I would. Yeah, FT, Financial Times, exactly. Which also gives it more credibility. I mean, Financial Times is a very credible paper. So them writing about it is just one more thing that makes you go, okay, if the Financial Times is saying it, that's highly credible. So anyway, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's causing problems. Very good. Anyway. Yeah, the Ukrainians have caused a lot of problems for the Russians, very much so. Again, it may not be enough, but well, who knows? Look, anything causes problems. What do you mean by that, WC? Oh, man. Putin's got problems, exactly. Oh well. Anyway, so we've got another 15 minutes. Now this is the part we hang out. Anybody on TikTok or YouTube or elsewhere, I go through the news that I think matters, and then I say anyway too much. What would you prefer I say? Thank you, Dragonflies. Appreciate that. Thank you, Polly. Oh, I've got to do the I'm me. TikTok puts this funny little thing to prove that you're a real person. Like we said, I guess people must put a video of themselves live up or something. I don't know how you do it, but somehow, that's what you do somehow, So anyway, that's what we say here. If you do merch with Anyway on it, that would be funny. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, let's see. Crimea. I think the Crimea stuff is on deck, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, that's right. What was it a little cat that you had, Paula? What was it? I'm forgetting. An Anyway mug. Anyway. There's tons of bot farms with pre-recorded live streams. Wow. Oh, interesting. Oh. You know what? I was going to say, I remember some of the streams where they're showing them with those little knives going back and forth, and it's like a balloon or something, and it's like almost cutting it, but not quite. And you get fixated watching this stuff. But I've always wondered whether that was fake, like it was a recording or something. She's mother. But what was her again, Paula? I don't remember. Was she a cat or what was she? Yes. Amy, maybe Annie. Was it Amy? I think. But remember, you're allowed to ask me anything-ish question, but you don't have to have one. I've already got the water leak alarm. Already got it. Cameras I don't have, but I've already got the water leak alarms at the washer dryer. Well, dryer, but at the washer and the hot water heater in the HVAC. And they went off once and it worked. So, yep. No, I was very glad. I got them like an Amazon sale a couple of years ago, and godsend, So, very good, very good stuff. So, yeah, the daylight savings time thing drives me a little crazy. Like changing the time needs to stop. We have to stop doing that. It seems very silly, So, anyway. Oh, that's right. He's probably not back yet. I've got a friend who just started a new job. He's not back yet. And we were seeing if we were going to go for a nightly walk when he gets back, but he's not sure when he's off of work with the new job. I did not have a flood, no, but I had the pipe that is it a S pipe or P pipe, whatever the hell it's called, that the HVAC water drips out of your air conditioning and it goes into the pipe and leaves. The pipe clogged deep in our building, but it clogged like 20 feet down. I'm in a condo. It clogged 20 feet down in the building, the P-trap. Thank you. The P-trap, but the ongoing pipe clogged and the water built up, and enough water started going through the roof downstairs. Like it was that much water. So I ended up getting the line cleared and bought those alarms. And what happens? A month later, the alarm goes off. The same thing happened. So we realized it didn't get cleared well enough. So the plumber came back and went all the way. And I didn't, thank God the building paid, went all the way down deep in the building and cleared it again. And it looks like it's okay. But thank God I got the alarm because it happened a month later. And I was like, holy crap, that was wild. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. So anyway, yes, I like those alarms very much. I got one on Amazon, maybe $80 on sale, the Govee one. But it's like I had 6 different alarms, which was great. The Greek Citizenship Project is going well, Vid. Thank you, Yvonne. That's a very nice, that's a fabulous gift. Thank you, Yvonne. Appreciate that. The Greek, like any country, Greece being Greece, it's complicated. But I, in principle, got my citizenship 2 months ago. I did the oath May 11th to the Greek constitution. But you also have to get registered in Greece. You have to register with your village or your city or whatever to sort of officially have your citizen. It's weird. Nobody could tell me officially when you become a citizen. That's the best part. We think it's when you do the oath, but it might also be when your document gets registered a month or two later. So I contacted the city where I'm getting registered, and they said they received my documents a week ago. The woman who's going to inscribe them is on vacation. What do you do? It's a small town or smaller town. She's back next week. So they should, and it only takes her a week to do it. So my documents should be done in 2 weeks. And once the documents are done, then I'm really, really, really a citizen. She sends me a copy of the document stamped, and then I go get my passport. So I've already made my Greek passport reservation for the end of August, and usually it takes 6 to 8 weeks and you get your passport. So I'm still not going to have my passport until October, but for a lot of us, the passport is the passport is the document that makes it real, which is funny, but it does, I guess. Even for American citizenship, there's nothing I've got that says I'm American other than my passport. It is though. If you think about it, like your U.S. passport is the one thing you go, oh yeah, it's your citizenship, Nice white privilege. It's called being Greek and getting your nationality. It's a legal thing. That's such a racist. Mods, you're blocking that guy. So I had to say it because it's just like a stupid racist thing to say. Although honestly, it makes me think it's also a right winger. I have a feeling that was a right wing troll. That's what I think. Yeah. No, it's called your mom and your family were immigrants and you got your citizenship based on their immigration. Be the opposite of white privilege. When my family came over, we were not considered white. Greeks were not white. Italians were not white either. There was actually, I was not born in Greece, no. But it was a troll. I think it was a right-wing troll. But I found a really interesting, I've got it on my, if I can find this, it was really interesting. There was, somebody shared online an article from like 1930 about immigration in Chicago. Well, no, listen, so help me God, it's yellow. I know I can find this. It was yellow. It was an article about immigration in Chicago. And I'm going to see I'm trying to zoom out and see if I can find it. It was about immigration in Chicago, and it was very interesting. I'm not going to do a search online because I know I have this. I grabbed a copy because I thought about it. It's a little bit of a racy topic, and I thought about it, and I was like, well, maybe I won't, but let me scroll down again and look here. Okay. I'm going to scroll and look. If I've got this, I can see it because it was literally a picture of like a pamphlet or something from 1930. This is it. I've got it. Map of Chicago. It was area occupied by predominantly racial or nationality groups. That's a map of Chicago, right? And the bottom, this is from 1933. The bottom says 100 years of land values. The most favorable come first in the list, and those exerting the most detrimental effect appear last. They did a list of 100 years ago, 1933 in Chicago. They did a list of which ethnic group helps your land values and which ethnic group moving in hurts your property values, which I thought was hilarious in a way 100 years later, but crazy, right? Listen to this. The best ethnic groups 100 years ago in Chicago for your land values: English, Germans, Scotch, Irish. How's that for interesting? Scandinavian. Okay. Number 2, North Italians. Northern Italians were top of the list. 3, Bohemians or Czechoslovakians. I'm not sure how a Bohemian is different than Germany. What's a Bohemian considered back then? 100 years ago, what would a Bohemian be if not German? It's saying Bohemians or Czechoslovakians. Bohemia. Would that be Austria or something? Is it like Germans that are not, I would say Prussian? Is it like Germans that aren't German? That aren't Germany? You guys are, people aren't sure. I'm getting a bunch of answers that are not the same here. Yeah. Don't know. Number 4, Poles. Number 5, Lithuanians. So now we're getting in the middle. So Lithuanians, out of 10, whether they're good or bad for land values, the Chicago list from 100 years ago put Lithuanians in the middle. 6, Greeks. So now you're getting the bad guys, Greeks. 7, Russian Jews of the lower class. So Russian Jews were okay unless you were lower class Russian Jews. Then 100 years ago in Chicago, they had a problem with you. Thank you, Terry. Number 8, Southern Italians. So number 2 on the list of being good for property values were Northern Italians. Number 8 on the list for being bad for property values were Southern Italians. So back then, which is kind of interesting, 100 years ago, they actually differentiated Italians versus North and South in terms of the perception in Chicago for the immigrants, which I find fascinating. Thank you, Andy. It's kind of fascinating, really. Number 9, well, it says Negroes, blacks. Number 10, Mexicans. 100 years ago, Mexicans were lower on the list than blacks, which for Chicago surprises me a bit, but I don't know. Yeah. Ranking of nationalities by land value most favorable is what the list is called. Insane. Like I said, I almost wanted to do a video, but I thought the video almost sounded like it might be racist. As I don't want to, like talking to you guys, I could explain it, but on a video, I thought, this could be too weird. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at racial attitudes 100 years ago. Were there Mexicans in Chicago? I don't know. I mean, Mexicans are the predominant Latino group in Chicago today. I don't know when they started to come. Now, and again, Sicilians, Southern Italians today, they crap on you guys. But 100 years ago, I'm kind of blown away that 100 years ago, anybody in Chicago looked at Italians and differentiated between North and South. I'm surprised they didn't go, you're Italian, who cares, right? Just like the Greeks, we're all the same people 100 years ago to these guys, and they didn't see that way. Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, Northern Italians were high up on the list in a good way, and then Southern Italians were down on the list in a bad way. But very interesting. But yeah, Greeks were 6, so Greeks were not great. Russian Jews of the lower class were worse than Greeks, but of the lower class, other Russian Jews, I don't know where they pop in. Anyway, I like I said, I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. Yeah. I saw it, but as I said, I wasn't quite sure about doing a video. I was like, might be a little weird doing a video. Northern Italians are fairer skinned. Yes. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. I mean, what I wonder too is, I wonder culturally, because I follow some Facebook groups, and they, for the region we're from in southern Greece, and they will post photos from 100 years ago from southern Greece. And these photos are insane. I mean, like, I look at these pictures. I told my sister, I said, we look like we're from like another continent. Or, I mean, we don't look European to me, to my eyes. From 100 years ago, my ancestors, these aren't my ancestors, but they're my ancestors' neighbors, right? I'm going to see if I can find my sister's my sister's, I sent her the picture, so it might be, or it's deleted. Let's see. Where was this? Nope, that's my grandmother looking fabulous. Oh no, I delete them after a month. I do have a very hot picture of my grandma in the 1953, I think it was. Yeah, 1954 in Thessaloniki in Salonika. But I thought that was kind of nice. That's grandma there, looking very fancy in 1954 in Salonika. But I love the way she was dressed because grandma is from the village. I mean, moved to America in 1938. Born and raised in the village in Greece. She's from Sulima in southern Greece. But I mean, look at her. Like just so, I know, so classy and like very pretty. All of the women really. I mean, obviously they're all, but Yaya, I think, was like especially elegant with that dress and just very interesting, you know? But I wish I could find, but they have these photos from southern Greece and they're wild. Grandma was the woman on the right with the kind of the dress that was kind of shiny and stuff. But I don't think I'm going to, let me see if I can pull this up. It might pull it up. No, I can't pull it up. Shoot. I can't find the picture. There was a picture from this Facebook group of, you know what? I could do a quick look because it was from Kalamata, which was the big city. We're not from there, but it's the big city. Oh shit. My Facebook's offline. Ugh. Let's see. I may be able to pull it up. It may make me log in. But the pictures, I mean, we look to me like we're Middle Easterners, that it doesn't look European to me, but I'm guessing that's what Europe, like Southern Europe, that's what we look. Well, I know that's what we looked like 100 years ago, but it's kind of fascinating to see because first of all, people look darker because they were always working outside. And I mean, looking way like it's funny. I've got a tan just from walking around, literally walking with a friend. We would go for he just got a job. So now we don't walk during the day, but we were going for a walk during the day. And, let me find, I think I may be able to find this. We were going for the walk during the day and that was enough to get me tan. Let me find this Kalamata. Facebook groups. I'm going to find the Kalamata group because where's the one that I'm a member of? Oh, come on. Oh, you know what? I need to look at my groups. That's what it is. Sorry, I'm being silly. Your groups. There we go. All right. See if I can find, maybe I can't find this. I may not find this. Oh, I'm taking a lot of time here, guys. But I wish I could. This is pissing me off now. The Evolizia, wasn't the Evolizia? Yeah, I don't. This is funny. Now I'm not. You know what it is? Maybe I didn't join the group, and the group just is constantly showing me stuff. Facebook is funny that way. I think that's what it is. I'm shocked that I can't find this. I was convinced. Yeah. Okay, I'm not finding it. Too bad. But the pictures, like I said, were wild. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to go back home and search like old Kalamata photos. Oh my God. And see if Maryland, no, Maryland, Ocean City is not what we're looking for. Well, I mean, the pictures are funny because even like this one, this is 1950s. Like this is 1950s. And to me, that's already looking very Italian, right? But kind of Southern Italian, a little bit, right? Nice. And maybe it's just 1950s because it's traditional. We have tons of photos like this. This is old family photo from 1920, not one of mine, but we've got a lot of photos like this. 1920, the way the women would dress. I mean, I've got photos of my great grandmother or my great aunt looking exactly like that. you know? And you start to imagine people dressing like this and coming, this was 1920s. Imagine you're in Chicago. He fits in, but her in 1920s Chicago, they're going to look at her and go, like, where the hell is she from, right? Yeah, like I said, some of the old, oh, Angie, that's funny. Some of the old, I'm not going to find the old photos because, like I said, some of them were just fascinating. Because I remember the one I sent to my sister, and I was like, Kathy, this is like it just looks, you know, they look, although it depends. This is interesting. This is a Greek family in 1891. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting because it's 1891. Okay. This is interesting. Greek family, 1891. Okay. Some of it, you look like the guys in the traditional outfits, right? So you're like, okay, the kids, right? But then look at these guys. I mean, this is a family that's got some money. I mean, the men, this is 1890, and these guys are dressed in suits like this. So you've got an interesting mix of people. Yeah, see, this was a family with some money, you know? Then you get to these guys, and you're getting less money. But you imagine like coming over here, and some of these guys had the clothing, it was colorized. Some of these guys had the clothing that could pull it off, and some of these guys were dressed like Southern Europeans, which was not as popular of a look, you know? Very interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to find the old, like I said, there were a couple, I wish I could, I mean, it's in here somewhere, but the old picture I sent my sister was just so interesting because people just looked it looked like the Middle East to me. I was like, wow, to think of that as being Southern Europe was much closer, and probably in some ways was much closer to the Middle East back then culturally. Probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, not as close to Paris 100 years ago. That's for sure. Well, people with money, it might have been, you know, anyway, yeah, I'm not going to find anything else. It is pissing me off though. Like I said, because I've got those photos buried on my iPad, but they're buried. I'll never find them right now. Anyway. All right. Very cool. Yeah. Whatever. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. We're at 7:20 anyway, 7:22. So I am going to sign off. We've got some family. We do have family photos from the old country, which I was very glad we've got. You know, you need to go through the boxes and stuff because thank God my grandmother had written like some of the descriptions on the photos, some of them in Greek, which I can read, thank God as well. But she had written some of the descriptions on the photos, so I knew who the people were and the dates and where they were. And it was like, oh, thank God. Like that, you know, because otherwise, eventually your old photos, nobody knows who the hell they are, you know? Oh, that's right, Ash. We talked about that. Yeah. You know, you do not want old photos of your family to all of a sudden lose who they are. You know, go through them with your grandparents or whoever is old and knows. And so at least, because I put together family photo albums, I put together books actually, you know, some print. I've got some really, I told you, I did some really cool print books. You know, the coolest one was this one. I basically just did a photo album of the old photos, right? Like you could tell, like, and this was, for example, this was my grandmother's father. Yes, this was my grandmother's father and my grandmother's mother on my dad's side. The funny part was these two. And I'm looking at the old photo. It says in Greek, my grandmother said, right, my dad's mom. My father, his wife, right, because that's my father there, she wrote, his brother and his brother's wife. Now, this is my grandmother, my dad's mom. So my dad's mom is not an Aravosis. My dad's dad is an Aravosis. My dad's mom is a different name. She goes, my dad's brother and my dad's brother's wife, Maria Aravosis. And I'm going, wait, what? The generation before my parents got married, my grandmother's father, who was not an Aravosis, my grandmother's father his brother married an Aravosis. So the families actually knew each other a generation before, which is probably how my grandparents met, because his niece married her nephew or grandnephew, right? Very kind of cool. So anyway, but the book was fun because, and my mom had this one, which is neat too. Marshall Fields in Chicago, 1938. And this was 1 to 2 months after they arrived in America. They arrived in America October of 1938. 6 weeks later, the parents took them to Marshall Fields' Christmas display to see Santa. So this was the Greek kids who don't speak English meeting Santa in Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago. But again, the point was like taking these photos. I mean, I'm not going to show you the book, obviously, because you'll get bored. But taking these photos, and I did this kind of stuff where I said, Yaya, which is grandma in Greek. And I wrote it so that someone who doesn't know who this is will, so basically the nieces and nephews and their kids will know. So I said, Grandma Bessie Vasiliki Aravosis, born with this name. My father and Peter's mom writes, here I am with my mother Angeliki in 1917. So like I tried to make it, and again, it's a photo from 1917 in southern Greece, which is wild. But anyway, you get the point. You need to go through the old photos and create at least a book of the oldest photos. And like I said, the latest ones here are probably the 1950s. Oh, no, there's a 1960. There's a couple 1960s photos, but that's it. I stuck with pretty much black and whites. But or this one I love too, because this one is my great aunts and uncles, my mom's brother, my grandmother's brothers and sister, my other grandmother, mom's mom, meeting at a dinner party in the 1960s in Greece. But it's a family dinner party, and look at the way they're all dressed with the suits and ties, but also those kind of skinny. I think of the Kennedys when I see these suits and ties, right? And it's all the brothers and sisters of my grandma having a huge dinner party. So, I mean, and again, I put who all of them are in the caption. You get it. It's and they all have cigarettes at the dinner party, of course, because it's Athens in the 1960s, right? But it is, I'm so glad I did this because, and I did it when my mom and dad were still alive, so I could literally talk to them and go, okay, who's this, who's that? And we could make sure we've at least got a documenting of that. Now, you still run the risk of a couple generations, well, except I've got the family tree too. And I've got the family tree online on Ancestry. So now at least anybody who doesn't know who they are can go to the family tree and go, okay, that's so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Very cool. I know we wear sweats now. Exactly. Right. Sweats with your belly going, burping at the family dinner, burping with the family dinner, Anyway, but you get the idea. I think, we did several of these books. We did one just from the 1960s photos. Cause if you lived in the 1960s, the photos were fascinating. They're square and the color is a special kind of color, whatever the Kodak thing was back then. The color is very special and they're square, which is really neat. So we did one that was just 1960s, but you really need to, I am so glad my nephew and I did this, because otherwise you've got boxes of photos that are, and we've still got 30 boxes of photos, or not 30 boxes, but 30 photo albums. Most of them we're probably never going to do anything with, because it's not easy to do, but you got to do some of them. Because otherwise you're just going to lose them. And this way, at least it becomes something that's neat to pass down. And as I said, I tried to do it a little bit of a family history thing. So I put my grandmother, I put her brother, I put my other grandmother and her siblings. So you tried to get a little bit of a mix of other people, at least grandparents and siblings, right? And then your parents and their cousins. So there's a little bit of okay, that's who these guys are, and you can even go to your generation if you want. Obviously, but no, it is. I'm very happy we did it. Like I said, and they loved it. It's a neat book. This was a company, unfortunately, that doesn't exist anymore. They went out of, it was a reader of my blog who turned me on to them, and she would create these, or her clients would create these for fundraisers. And they would do big fundraisers for animal causes or something and create these books that were, and it's a gorgeous book. I mean, the quality of this thing is a ridiculously gorgeous book. And they would give the books out as gifts to the big donors. And she told me, and I mean, this book probably cost $50, and the quality of this thing is insane. The books they do today, not as good, but the company went bankrupt. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So annoying, but what do you do? Anyway, all right, guys, it's 7:30. I'm going to sign off. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will see you all mañana, Wednesday, July 15th. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening. Thank you for the gifts. Mods, as always. Amanda and Ash and everybody else, thank you, guys. And I will see you all mañana. All right. All right. YouTube and company.